So yeah, it's been 2 years since I've started this channel, so I guess as a tribute, I'm gonna be discussing, I don't know, the weird lore that's been going on, some origins of some things, other shit. I would have done a best of funny moments thing like last year, but then I realized that I kinda already did that last year, and that would just be redundant. And also, this is gonna be a lot less edited than my other videos, because this is gonna be considerably longer. Plus, I'm just rambling on, so like, yeah. Okay, well, we might as well start by discussing how I visualize how my videos fit together and shit. But I like to see it as different phases of my editing, character designs into eras of sorts. So we start off with the first 3 installments of Breaking Down, a sort of archaic era, which was characterized by really bad audio quality.
Okay, you know what Twitter is, I know what Twitter is, even your grandfather knows what Twitter is.
And also, before I made these videos, I used to do Let's Plays on a different channel, so I wasn't really used to doing all the fancy editing things that are just no-brainers to me now. In fact, Breaking Down Twitter took me like 12 hours to edit. I remember editing it all in one sitting. I was so excited to finally make it, and you can tell that I was going for an IG vibe. Nowadays, I'd get rid of the video because it doesn't reflect my content in any way, but I don't know. I guess it's just there to see how much I've progressed. Also, if I removed all the videos that I hate, only about like 12 would be remaining. After that, there's the next video about siblings, very lighthearted, very stupid. Not much to say about it, other than this was the first time where I added eyebrows to convey emotions. Also, I did the, so I know what you're wondering, how is X bad? X is blah 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 thing that I intended to be like my couch gag, if it even counts as one. Essentially, the idea was to have an ongoing gag that constantly changes but still has the same format, kind of like IHE's this is my opinion, don't get triggered, don't get your blank in a fucking, yeah. Then there was the grocery shopping one, which wasn't even written by me, it was written by my, at the time, close friend King Mustachio. He also used to do Let's Plays on his channel, but later made rants, as we both enjoyed IHE at the time, and I still do. In fact, I discovered his channel when he was at like 400k, so seeing him grow to nearly 50 times the size was just really crazy to me. It partially inspired me to create this channel because I thought, hey, I can make it big just like that guy. After that, I'd say that the next 4 videos fit into this very vague, boiled down era alongside the first 3 because this was the original name of the series at the time. I don't remember why I changed it, but I had the original thumbnails which were like the foot thing, thinking about the subject and looking up at it, kinda like the search for the worst thumbnail. Around the time of the first Inspecting YouTubers video, I updated all the thumbnails, and later again to where the weird bar goes entirely through the bottom, at around the time I made the first surveying sites. I did this because I felt like the bar going halfway through the thumbnail was a ripoff of the Ethan and Hilo format, and I didn't want to be accused of copying them. Anyway, back to Boil It Down. The video on figurative language was my take on grade A's, things I hate people saying, and why the English language is stupid videos. Also, this is where some things such as my background would stay there until July of 2016. The character being on the left side of the screen, which is just something I've never changed, and probably won't. And finally, the foot character having a mouth. Originally, I was gonna make it talking in real time, but I realized how time-consuming syncing it up to what I was saying would be, as well as how many different variations of each emotion I'd already need. Like, I already have at least 30 variations for all 3 incarnations of my avatar. The memes video was my first collab ever with King Mustachio. This is where I experimented with having the foot move, kinda like how Aichi's character bobbed up and down in his old videos. I also did the floating idle animation thing where only one character is talking, both of which I still do today. Oh yeah, Jeffrey is also first introduced, which was the first instant of a weird character that's very much like Aichi's Kite Man and Aquaman character. And not really much changed until the first installment of Surveying Sites, which saw me change a lot of things drastically. This kickstarted the fast-paced era, where my editing became essentially spastic. For the text, instead of using this really shitting drop-down shadow, I changed it to an outline, which I still today think looks better. Also, this is where the first time where I changed the font I'd use, exclusively for Surveying Sites. I didn't do this on the last one, and that's just because I just forgot to. Oops! Anyway, this fast-paced era spans from Breaking Down 90s Kids to Breaking Down Allergies, and again, a lot of things were consistent, with the only thing that changed was during Breaking Down Allergies, where I do the background sometimes inverting. Kinda like how Aichi occasionally changed the color of his background. And I'd say the first major overhaul of everything, this pre-lore era, would start with the second Inspecting YouTubers video, / the Breaking Down YouTube's TOS video. Here's where I changed a lot of things, such as the background being the pixel thing to essentially being like a larger version with a bunch of smaller pixel things, so I wouldn't have to constantly stretch the aspect ratio. Because essentially I just took the PNG from the original pixel background and I placed it right next to the last so it has a pattern. It's hard to explain, just look at the screen. Also, I forgot to discuss the intro, but yeah, that went from being this to being this 3D design thing during, I think, Breaking Down Winter, which only changed in the first place because I somehow misspelled entertainer, and I didn't realize this until that video. Then it changed to this, which is reminiscent of the first thing, and it even incorporated the foot logo that was at the time in my old banner. Oh yeah, this also changed my channel banner, but I'll fit that into later. I also stockpiled on background music, mostly from Incompetech and Free Play. Also, every single character was updated with the exception of Dan, from being awkwardly cropped off to now being a full body figure. The foot's outline got bigger and the bigger toe was no longer cropped off. Something that's very subtle, but it stood out when I was making the outline thicker to match the other character style. Also, like, all my assets were permanently upscaled into 1080p like the background and a 16:9 ratio, so I wouldn't have to constantly stretch it, because that creates things like this. And again, things didn't change until Breaking Down Exposed videos, which saw the rise of the eyebrows and bow tie logo, which was my first attempt of modernizing my logo, as well as the intro that reflects that. It still has this really shitty falling down effect, but eh. And for some reason, like my other intros, it was a green screen, which I only did so I could put the logo over any variation of the background, like the purple and gray ones from surveying sites and inspecting YouTubers respectively. The intro was changed into what it is now, the only difference being the shadow that would stay there until February of 2017. Then Breaking Down Spam Bots, which wasn't anything groundbreaking other than the intro being changed because they just felt like the falling down words thing just looked bad and was too similar to Pengasitis's. Also, it saw me incorporating skits into my videos that weren't just at the beginning. Now I know this isn't in order, but Breaking Down Clickbait saw the introduction of the transition spears, which came from Slaz's old video. So yeah, everything is normal until the Ashley rant, which kickstarted the lore that's been going on with my channel. And I guess this, or Breaking Down Hacker / surveying sites BuzzFeed, ended the pre-lore era, and everything up to now is part of the lore era. So to summarize, we have the mini era, that's the archaic era, that goes under the boiled down era, then the fast-paced era, then the pre-lore era, and I guess that all goes into Season 1, Volume 1, whatever, of Breaking Down and Surveying Sites. Season 2 of both of these series is much easier to explain because throughout 2017 not many things changed. It's not nearly as confusing. I'd say that the only era here is the lore era, which is notable for the use of skits to link together plot important and details, as well as me trying to make my videos more comedy focused. Around Breaking Down Braces, I got rid of the ugly shadow and really not much else changed. I added braces to the toe, but only as a visual gag that stayed for one episode. I think it wouldn't make sense to make that a permanent thing because I just got braces in January, and I made that video in like February? Breaking Down E3 saw the introduction of the toe character, which was something I've had an idea for since around June of 2016, but I just never got around to it, mostly because this beta image looked ugly as fuck. Also, I used a more basic version of the toe character in this video because if I got backlash or went for the foot, I didn't want to spend all my time creating the details only to abandon it after one episode. Naturally, I used the complete version in Breaking Down Jake Paul, and that was probably one of my longest videos that didn't rely on supplementary content, such as a guest or some other YouTuber inspecting YouTubers until Breaking Down VidMe. Breaking Down Ads was another collab, and I did the whole watching thing on a couch gag that I did in Breaking Down Nick, and I didn't intend for that to be how it turned out, but it works. And yeah, I can't really think of any other changes that have occurred since that Jake Paul video. I do plan on remaking my intro for the 5th fucking time, but we're seeing the falling down animation, but it doesn't look like I just used a transition on Sony Vegas. The best way I can describe it is like the sequelitis intro, something like that. Also in 2018, I'm probably going to make my content a lot more review focused, because I feel like my lack of growth has mostly been due to the fact that I don't really have a target audience. I just make random ass videos. And don't worry, it's not going to be boring. I'm going to try to make it funny and entertaining, and videos where I'm ranting about random shit are still going to stay, alongside videos ranting about a property like the video on Sonic Dash. Also, yeah, that was meant to be part of a series called An Obscure Review, but I realized that creating another series would just further alienate my audience. I guess the only criteria for a video to be breaking down is if I'm pretty negative about said thing, VidMe excluded. Also, I might go back to the foot because I just feel like that's more of an identifiable character. I made the toe character with a mindset of, oh hey, I could add arms and legs to this baby, but I realized how fucking terrifying that would look. But anyway, when Matt Groening, I don't fucking know, designed The Simpsons, he made them with the ability to be identified even as a silhouette. You can tell that this is Bart, this is Homer, this is Aichi's character, and this is a foot. But if I made a toe a silhouette, could you really tell what it was if you hadn't seen my channel before? Plus, the foot just has a weird charm, like it could be a character from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Granted, this is a me problem, but whatever. Fuck, I'm off topic. So yeah, archaic, boiled down, fast-paced, pre-lore, lore, review era? I don't know, that's probably what season 3 of Breaking Down and Surveying Sites will be. Okay, so, origins. What's with the name? Okay, well, I came up with this name for 2 reasons. I like how I Hate Everything referred to himself as Aichi, and I kinda want to be referred to as initials. So the idea of a toe or a foot came to mind. The name TheObscureEntertainer just came from the idea that if I ever blew up, it'd be an ironic name, and if I never do, then it'll hold true. Although I wasn't originally gonna go by toe, I originally wanted to be a video game reviewer, a la AVGN. In fact, I made this really shitty banner that shows that at one point I was gonna be that one video gamer, until I realized that that was taken, so I made The Obscure Video Gamer and then The Obscure Entertainer, when I realized how hard reviewing games would be, especially when I didn't even know how to write a rant at that time. Speaking of banners, I have a lot of them. There's not much to say about them, so you can just fucking look at them. The same goes with my many channel icons, a lot of which have a theme of a striped pattern for no other reason than just because it was visually appealing to me, I guess. Also, at one point around September 2016, I made this unused logo that incorporates the words toe and the foot into one, which I think looks cool, although I prefer my current logo a lot more. There's end cards, which has only changed 3 times. The first was kind of like my current one, the second one had the subscribe button, the new text, and the links to my other shit. The third one I made only so it works with YouTube's new end card thing being super restrictive, but whatever, it works. Could have just put the background and blurred it, but that shit's just lazy. Also, I made the moving toe/foot thing because Aichi had a blurred close-up of his avatar and I liked how it looked. I've just never bothered changing it, except for the time span where Toe died, so I didn't have anything. It was a very subtle thing. Okay, let's move on. The characters. Jeffrey, I made him when I was trying to recreate my foot because my foot was originally just a recolored stock image. In fact, the reason why I used a foot instead of a toe was because I couldn't find any good toe clip art things. I made it just a couple of days after I made my channel, and I remembered staying up to 2 just perfecting the things like the bow tie. Also, I was originally going to use a real tie, but because something about using a plain foot just seemed so plain. Also, because it was clip art, the aspect ratio just stayed fucked until July 2016 when I made all those revisions. Anyway, Jeffrey, he exists because I tried to remake the toe, but after seeing how bad I failed, I just recolored it blue, added some limbs, eyes, and I don't know what that was. Also, I'm not sure if you can tell, but blue is my favorite color, hence why my entire channel theme was blue, as well as the bow tie. I chose purple for a background for Surveying Sites because I just like purple and I wanted a cool color. I was also considering green if I ever started like a 4th series, or I guess 3rd now, but green can be really ugly if it's dark green, in my opinion. I don't remember the origins of Dan or Ben, but I did make a grown-up version of Dan because Inspecting YouTubers was originally going to be a lore series, kind of like the current Ashley series. And in fact, some elements, such as a big bad boss that Ashley mindlessly follows, originally came from Inspecting YouTubers. Thumbnails, I kind of talked about them, but because Breaking Down was originally boiled down, the first 7 thumbnails were this thing of the pan, and I already talked about it. Also, the background was inspired by Game Grumps, and after I changed the name in the thumbnail, the background just ended up being a part of the original, cropped from the upper left-hand corner. Then, around the fast-paced era, as I explained, I changed the bar thing, and yeah. Also, a small detail that you probably didn't notice, but around the pre-lore era, starting with Breaking Down YouTube's terms of service, I added the white outline to the thing that's being broken. And yeah, it's just something that, again, I've never changed. And honestly, I don't know why I still use the black outline around the white outline, but it just looks nice, I guess. Also, last thing, we've probably noticed this weird arrangement of numbers. And that's the code I use for my videos. I don't know why, but I guess I was just inspired by the weird coding that The Simpsons use. All my videos use this, plus it just makes organizing things a lot easier. Format for breaking down is BD00XX, with the first 3 letters of whatever subject I'm talking about. Serving sites is SSX and the first 4 letters of the subject, because Wikipedia was shortened to Wiki, and I just stuck with that. This is mainly consistent, but sometimes there is a mix-up, mostly when I produce 2 videos at once or delay one video for an indefinite amount of time, like how breaking down allergies came before the Nick one, even though its code is BD0010ALL. The most extreme example of this is how my drama video is chronologically the 13th one I wrote, right after the holidays video back in July of 2016, but it was released as the 19th episode of Breaking Down. This is because originally it was going to be on some very topical shit, but then I realized that I had nothing to add and it would just get me a lot of unnecessary hate, so the code just stayed unused until I figured out that I might as well use the script to talk about internet drama instead of fucking politics. Also, the only video that I've ever revised is my video on hate bandwagons, which originally talked about grade A under A drama, but I realized how much of a dead horse it was, alongside the fact that at the time, most people said no to doing it. I ran a poll back then. So Spambots replaced it and became BD0018 SPN. Now since the video on E3, everything's been back in order, so if you're gonna compile them, now you know? But I rambled on long enough, at least 15 minutes, I don't know. I tend to like cut out a lot of audio while I'm recording these, and this is completely unplanned, but yeah, throughout this entire thing I stuttered a lot, and right now the recording's actually at like 25 fucking minutes. But anyway, I've basically talked about all the behind the scenes stuff, that stuff, origins, blah blah blah. Maybe next year I'll talk about, I don't even know. It's probably just gonna be another funny moments thing. But yeah, I'd like to thank you all for making these past 2 years great, and I'm hoping for a fantastic 2018. Have yourselves a damn good one.